Hello, everybody, and welcome to one of the podcasts by name of Corn Corner Podcast. We are here, we're loud and proud, and I am Wren.
We are here, we're loud and proud. I thought you were just going to skip your name. Anyway, I'm Cam, and did you know that Kevin Costner was offered the part as the main character in Shawshank Redemption, Andy Dufresne, but he turned it down to do this movie instead, and it's like a huge career regret for him?
I could see why it's a huge career regret for him, because that is a big movie.
Yeah.
The thing about this, it is kind of the movie. You don't understand the lessons that you could have learned when you are presented with opportunities, because hindsight, they say, is made out of 2020. And he didn't understand that that movie was going to be the movie that it turned into being.
Yeah. So, lesson learned. Don't turn down, what's the word? When they take a major Stephen King IP and make it into a movie.
I can understand that. And I think you brought up a really good thing. It might be fun to talk about lessons learned today. And if you think that might be fun, maybe we should talk about it. So, getting into lessons learned, these are things that life teaches you. And sometimes people call her a hard teacher. Sometimes people call him one of the best teachers. And sometimes they can be one of the most strategical teachers in your life. We're talking about Earth and the world and different ways that lessons can be taught to you. So, getting off to this, when you think about different kind of lessons that maybe you've learned throughout your life, is there anything that sticks out in a way that you say to yourself, wow, that was a lesson that I learned from the School of Hard Knocks?
Yeah. I think one that comes up in discussion for us often, and trigger warning to everyone on this episode, some of these things are probably going to be like, oof, but it's all in good fun, so don't worry. But a number one lesson learned is don't date adult baby men. And I don't mean kink-wise, ABDL, but I'm not into that personally. Anyway, that's not what I mean. I mean emotionally stunted.
We're really diving in quick.
Yeah. Well, we have to catch people in the first 5 minutes of an episode to really get them in.
That's how it works. So you were talking about don't date adult baby men, and what was the lesson though? Because there had to be a lesson. The lesson isn't don't do this thing. It had to have been, did you think to yourself, I need to value myself more maybe? What did checking in to the School of Hard Knocks do for you? What did you learn from that?
It's just like you said, that I learned that I need to value myself and not put my self-worth into how these adult baby men see me and utilize me in their lives.
Isn't it hard not to put our self-worth into other people sometimes?
Into our relationships and get all of our validation back from said relationships.
Yeah. It's hard. I don't think that you have done that a lot historically, though. Like, I think people would assume that you do it more than what you do it.
I think the issue with me is in being poly through my life, like from when I first became poly at like 19 to, a year or two ago, I always had like one person in rotation that fit this kind of, or not always had, but often had one person that everyone else on the bench was like, I don't know about that guy. How'd he get through tryouts? Like,
should have a screening in place.
Yeah.
When you think back to going to, because I want to jog your memory about different things that have happened in your life and see if there's any life learned lessons that we can pull out from these things. The eye doctor. People call him the optometrist. People call her the doctor of sight. Have you learned anything going there?
I learned, literal things like putting in contacts. I learned how to do that at the eye doctor when I was like...
They taught you that, though.
9. Yeah, they have to. Wouldn't it be funny if they just like g- gave you these contacts for your life, like to see them? We're like, figure it out, kid. Like,
Godspeed, babe.
yeah, just stab yourself in the eye a lot.
Who was the first person that you saw have contacts?
Who knows that? I don't know.
I know mine.
What is it?
My grandmother.
That seems
I saw
so
her have
weird.
contacts. I saw her have contacts, and she used them, and I thought it was really cool. So, and she
That
taught
doesn't
me how
seem-
to do it.
It doesn't seem like an old people thing.
She had them for like sports and stuff. But she also was, I think that just because you're older by numbers doesn't mean you have to be older in your heart.
Yeah, that is a lesson learned.
It's a life
I would say
lesson.
also at the eye doctor that a lesson learned is that it's one of the most stressful experiences of your life because it feels like you're getting a test that you can't possibly pass when they're like better first or second, and you're like, I don't know anymore. Like,
I've kind of gotten to the point where I do say, I'm not sure.
oh yeah, I'll be like, show me that again, like, but I'll do that like multiple times until I'm like, I don't know, and so they have to like be like, okay, hold on, and then they put like the Coke bottle
Yeah.
where it's like clearly better second, like,
Yeah. I just heard one of your animals scurry around, and I need to tell you that last night I had not really a nightmare, but I had a dream that I was living in some sort of big apartment complex, like a corporate landlord apartment complex, and all of your animals were in this apartment, and the door was left open, so all the animals were in the hallway, and they couldn't get out to like the street, so it wasn't that big of a deal from what I remember, but I
But it was
still had to
still
get
not
them
good.
all back into the house. And remember, OSHA was super easy, and I remember there being stress around new dog because
Yep.
we don't know each other, we've never met. Neptune was easy, but Wren, there was another dog coming around the corner, and there was like
You're
really
like,
scary and stressful. And I was telling this person, I was like, turn around, don't come this way. And it was just such a funny. You weren't in the dream at all. Brad wasn't in the dream.
That's so
No one
funny.
was in the dream except me. So strange.
alone with these animals. I mean, that was me walking them all alone around like LA, our neighborhood, and being, if I like saw another dog, I'd be like, "Huh," and like turn heel and run the other direction. Out here, don't have to worry about it. It's great.
I have a lesson learned that I think I can share with the group.
Mm-hmm.
I used to not think that coffee would be allowed on this podcast.
Yeah.
And for audio only listeners, I just took a big sip of my coffee. And I think the lesson that I learned was that in a digital format where we're meeting digitally, maybe coffee can be okay.
This is like not at all related, but I watched I forget the guy's name. The dude who like made all the boy bands like NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. The awful no,
Christopher
like
Guest?
no. He's amazing.
Yeah.
Quirky. It's like Lou Pearlman or something. I don't know. Some guy
Okay.
that was like a scam artist, but he like was the manager and producer of multiple boy bands. One of them, no, what was the digital song? I think it was NSYNC. The digital get down, just you and me.
Oh, yeah.
About like cybering, basically. Sorry.
Yeah.
You saying digital made me think of that.
The phrase cybering is quite funny. We
Yeah.
don't say that anymore.
No, and that's a lesson learned is keep your sexual interactions on lockdown on the internet.
Yes.
or just know what you're getting into in doing things like that.
Yeah, because that stuff, it's out there, you know?
I in my growing up, I used to be like, cybering and sexting is so cool and like fun, and now I'm like, why would I do that? Like that's like,
Yeah.
I don't need to be talking to texting this person about things that were like role play things.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You have truck. Brand new thing. And look at you. You're even drinking a drink, and I'm cool with it. I just want to put that out there that I am so cool with that kind of thing. And so you have truck. You've been putting a lot of time into it. One of the things I've learned about you doing the truck is I have to let go. Because my my YouTube feed is now nothing but how to fix carburetor on 1998 or 1989 Ford Bronco. And that's fine by me.
You also are saying your YouTube is filled with, but you use my YouTube, so
it's mine.
My YouTube is filled with shitty, weird music because you utilize it as like not Spotify or Apple Music or whatever the hell. You're just on YouTube playing shit.
Yeah. Well, you have your own page that you've made. That you use.
Yeah, but I'm not switching. We're both just on Corn Corner. Like I'm not switching to Cam Damage YouTube.
You gotta switch the user because Corn Corner's me now. You gotta switch the user. Switch the user.
I'm not gonna do that. Also, that's everything with that truck is if it's done like bilaterally, like I have to do it on one side and the other, is a lesson learned because the first side takes me like 5 hours to do something where I fuck up so much, and then I'm like, ugh, and then the second side is like 15 minutes, and I'm like, okay, like I had to drill into the sheet metal of the door a million times the other day. That was like, hated it.
How do you drill in the sheet metal?
Just with like a drill bit and an impact driver, like a, you know.
People, these are the kinds of things that we're going to learn about today.
Yeah.
There might be people in here that have had sheet metal and drilled into it before, but this is going to be a new take on it.
I do. This is a lesson learned just recently, is that I got that truck being like, I'll regain independence and be able to drive around and stuff. And yes, but also it is not fit for the highway right now. I have learned recently when I went on the highway, and it did not go well. But I learned that I need to get a daily driver car that is like from 2000 onward, maybe, that I can rely on, and that it is actually like a project truck that I may have to do like I talked to Dane last night about replacing the engine and doing that myself. So it's going to be like, eventually it can go on the highway, but it may be a while. Lesson learned.
Yeah. Also, I feel like a truck from 1989, like I remember my dad had an old F-150 or F-250 or something from like 85 or something. And it was so miserable to be in the highway. It's just like, so get yourself a little Honda Civic.
I'm probably not going to do that, but I will get something more highway reasonable, but it's going to still probably be like a truck. I want to get a Toyota Tacoma.
Did you think about how when you were getting this truck, what you were really buying were lessons learned?
Yeah. I feel like, yes, I was going to have to learn some lessons and stuff. It's a lesson learned that I don't know how I went so long without driving, because now if I can't drive myself somewhere, I get really upset and I'm like, I just want to go places. So I need to get another car soon to be able to do that.
Yeah. Something, I think that there's a lot to dig into with that, but something that I remembered about you were saying the first side would take you 5 hours, the next side takes you 15 minutes. A lesson that I've learned is that it's better if you have to batch do a ton of things. It's better to take one from 0% to 100% than take all 50 from 0% to 10%. Because you're going to figure out the little pieces that need to change. And then once you've done 10, 0 to 100, you can batch process the remaining whatever. And then that helps you because you have the lessons learned from the individuals that you've done.
And what did you do recently that you're taking this away from?
Well, one of them is the most recent. I learned this lesson a long time ago, but the most recent one was I made 150 little zines, little micro zines.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot of little steps. So I did 10 of them, and then I did 140 of them. That's it. Look at that.
This one. That's what I actually wondered when I got this in my little thing. I assumed that they were all hand done, because I don't know how would you print these? How many of these did you make?
150. But I didn't. I drew the thing with a pen, and then I photocopied that 150 times, and then
cut and.
The color on them was just me with a paint pen. I did the color individually, because it would have made the cost per one crazy high.
Well,
did you color
bananas?
Yeah, so I thought it was fun. I like doing it. So I just got their little paint pen, and I did little blue eyeshadows, and I tried to give everyone a little piece of color. Everyone got a little color.
This one has blush also.
Yeah. So everyone got a little color on them, and then you just cut and you fold, and I glued them as well.
Yeah. What's a lesson learned from when you made the zine itself? Like, if you do another one.
It feels real good for people to have shit you make.
Oh, that's nice.
I didn't think that was something. I was like, oh, this feels really good when people take something you make.
Yeah. I definitely won't feel like that with. I have merch coming out soon. Hopefully, I'll be able to list that tomorrow.
Nice.
On Monday. Well, by the time you listen to this, hopefully it's up. camdamage.bigcartel.com. Anyway, it's just a t-shirt, a tank top, and a flag. But I don't think I'll feel the same. Like, merch isn't the same as you selling like a photo, like a zine you put together.
Yeah, I think there's also a difference because I did it all DIY, so I had to actually hand address mailers.
Oh, I mean, I have to do that too. Big Cartel's not very. Oh. But I did just, pay Castle Jackal of Castle Jackal magazine for designs. So I didn't actually DIY much of anything, so.
Well, I think it'll feel nice. I was surprised that it felt good. That was the last one. I was like, oh, this feels good. I think the other thing is that I was just talking about this on my Substack, that engagement is so low on Instagram. I didn't think, I was like, does anybody even want this stuff? Am I even going to be able to do this? But then I was like, oh no, people still see it and stuff. So that was another lesson where I was like, oh, people actually do care. The other big, I would say, you know what, the biggest lesson? Just keep going forward, because I got a year of art, and a lot of it I hated at the time, but seeing it together in a little book, I was like, oh, it says new life, new context. It's the forest, not the trees.
There you go.
It's the collection of the work, not the individual pieces.
Not the pieces, yeah. It's the entire body, not each cell.
Yeah. So I think about that a lot with writing now. So I'm like, oh, I'll definitely put out a book at some point, but just gotta keep writing little things, or like a collection of short stories.
Yeah,
that are going out there.
You should do that. Those are like my favorite books to read.
The destination isn't the first place it goes. The destination might be an art book or this, whatever. That's a great little lesson.
Maybe the destination were the friends we made along the way.
Wow. Where did you hear that for the first time?
The pseudo meme of maybe the blank was the friends we made along the way.
Wow.
I don't know.
Where did you...
You said wow, and I didn't say anything of substance. I asked you a question, and you said wow.
Well, I heard the question, and it hit me profoundly. It's just shocking that someone that you know so well can say something that just really knocks your sock off.
I didn't say anything.
I thought you talked about the friends you met along the way.
It's like a meme. Like people like say that as a joke caption. Obviously
Wow.
it's from something. It's probably from some movie where like it's a coming of age movie and kids whatever are like, maybe the baseball team was the friends we made, like
Wow.
along the way. I gotta stop saying wow.
It sounds like whenever you heard that, it was deeply kind of moving.
It's you
Right?
saying wow is like when you and
You paint me with this
one of my
brush a lot.
partners both, and you specifically, do this thing where like you'll ask me a question or something, or I'll just tell a story that has no point, like a brief, like, hey, yesterday, blah blah blah, and you both go do the like cool or like neat, and I'm like, fuck off. Like,
Go fuck yourself.
my 5 years old telling my mom about
Yeah.
like school today. Like,
While it does hurt to have my love and affection pushed away in such a dramatic way, in such a public stage, I will say that I hear you and I see you, and I'll do my absolute best to grow from that.
thank you for holding space.
Speaking about holding space, there have been times in your life where you've done different things and you've learned from them. Has there ever been a time where maybe you've been in the weeds at work and you've learned a lesson? This could be any job when you were at the piercing place. This could be when you were at what was that wing place called Shucks or something like that?
Wings over.
Yeah, Wings Over Baltimore. Was there ever a
I was
time where
not.
you learned something at Wings Over Baltimore?
Oh, it was Wings Over Happy Valley. It was in State College, Pennsylvania, when I was in college.
People probably ask for side sauces a lot.
Sure, it's a wing place. I don't remember that time a lot though, so like, I don't know if that's a go-to necessarily.
Well, when you think back to it, do you remember learning anything from that? Maybe.
That it's easy to make money off of college kids that are drunk and need rides home, and that if you are a delivery driver with a topper on your car, that the cops will let you speed pretty bad before they think to pull you over.
So what would you charge for a ride somewhere? What were
It
your
kind of
rates?
depended on the group.
What were your rates?
If it was, so I drove, I still miss it so much. I drove an FJ Cruiser when I was in college, which is like a cool
Yeah.
SUV truck thing. So it had a lot of space. And I was obviously a wing delivery driver. But if it was like a group of drunk guys, like just like frat bros or whatever, it'd be $20 each. And it was never very
shit.
far. Yeah. And like sometimes it would be like I'd have some people in the trunk and be like duck, because like we can't,
Yeah.
cops can't see 4 people
Yeah.
sitting in the trunk. Like,
Yeah.
if it was girls, it'd be like, I don't know. I'd be like, what do you have? Like, I'm
Yeah.
not really trying to take money
You'd be
from
like,
drunk
what do you
girls.
have? Give me the contents of your purse. This is a
Yeah,
stick up.
yeah. Get in.
Yeah.
It'd be like a cigarette or like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
it was mostly just for the frat guys.
So you would essentially make your money on, it was like the 80-20 rule, essentially.
What does that mean?
Like 80% of your income comes from 20% of your offerings.
Oh,
So it
sure.
sounds like
Yeah.
80% of your income came from a group of guys that needed to get home to play Halo 2.
Yeah. It was just drunk guys, because also it would be, I made money off tips, not hourly rate, because that was like when they'd pay hourly and food service was like $2 and something cents, and then your
Yeah.
tips were supposed to like whatever. So either people tipped a ton because they were like drunk or super high and didn't like realize, or they tipped like nothing because they were drunk
Yeah.
or super high.
Were you sober when you were doing, did you say to yourself, I'm going to go out, I'm going to grab myself some rides? Or was this
I was at
also when
work.
you were partying? Wait, you would give people rides while you were delivering these Wings Over Baltimore?
It's not. It was at Penn State University, and yes, because like my
So
whole job was I worked like until 2 a.m. or whenever the fucking because the restaurant was open super late for drunk kids to get stuff. Like so, I worked from like 6 or 7 until 2 a.m. or something, and anytime I had like a delivery run, because you get multiple if you're going to the same area, so you have like 3 or 4 to like go take to the same area.
Yeah.
And this is also like this is before ordering apps. Like
Yeah.
This was like I have addresses on these receipts, and I'm like putting them into my phone to do the map to go
Yeah.
places. It's not like here I'm scrolling like whatever. But then there'd just be drunk people walking around all over the place, and that's like they'd be like and like try to get a ride, and I'd be like, where are you going? Okay, I'm going near there. Yeah, like
Wow. You were a bit of an entrepreneur.
I think it was not an uncommon thing for food delivery
When did-
drivers who are also college students.
Okay.
There,
Because
at
I've
least.
never heard of this ever. So
Penn
when
State
did
was
you-
insane.
Okay. Big. Also much bigger, I think, than any school that I ever went to. How did you, I guess you learned this just from the elders before you that taught you it.
I think maybe I asked one dude who worked at the place if it was like, I was like, is this okay to do? Or like, and it was kind of like, yeah, sure, because I had already done it. And also, to answer another question, I was not sober at the time. I was constantly super high at that job, like crazy high.
I remember my roommate worked at Domino's, and there were multiple times where I would call in fake pizzas and not pick them up. So at the end of the night,
Yeah.
we would bring them home. And there were multiple times where I would be at the Domino's, and he would let me make pizzas, because it was so fun, by the way. So I'd make pizzas, got that stupid cheese thing, pow! And then he'd be like, oh, I need to do a couple deliveries. And I would just have pizzas on my lap. And
Yeah.
he would walk in and give one to these places. And that is pretty strange thinking, because now food delivery is so, like, it's taped with the stuff. And,
Yeah.
like, it was just it was just so weird to think about that.
No, we just had plastic bags with like, I mean, they were in styrofoam containers, but like, it was just like, here's a fucking messy ass bag, whatever, that was like on my floor in my truck. Like, which I suppose is the same now, but I don't know.
Yeah. This isn't necessarily a lesson learned, and I'm so sorry to all of the listeners. But I did recently get a food menu in the mail, and it said free delivery over $20. And I looked into it, and I thought to myself, are they actually sending out a person in a car? They're going to get to my place and then say, hello, here's your food. Or is this over $20 through, Grumby app or whatever? Because I'm not downloading an app. I'm fucking sick of it. I'm sick of it.
What was it?
I don't know yet, but I do want to call and be like, is a man in a gold Camry going to show up? Because that's what I want.
Yeah, just some guy.
Yeah. And I'll tip that
Yeah.
man. But I don't want to pay, Food Quick app.
Yeah, that's
Go
the thing.
Fuck yourself. I don't want that.
That's a lesson learned is that food apps or food delivery apps are the devil.
I think I've said multiple times on this podcast that I was literally addicted to them.
Yeah.
Fully addicted.
After we left like LA and moved here and doing taxes this year, when I like go through all my expenses, I look through like Grubhub or whatever for like business like meals when I was on certain trips, and it was like the amount of money spent on food ordering stuff while living in LA. I was like, because I have not once done Grubhub living out here for whatever 8 months now. But I was just like, holy shit, like,
Yeah. It's not safe because you can just order happiness
Yeah.
in a little box.
But it's false. You know what is actual happiness? Spending a couple $100 on groceries every week and using all of them to the point where at the at the end of the grocery week you're like, shit, I have to eat pasta and red sauce again because I'm out of food. Like,
it's so funny. I had a angel hair and chickpea pasta last night because I was supposed to go to the grocery Friday, and guess what? Baby didn't.
Angel hair pasta, as many listeners know, is the worst pasta next to bow tie noodles ever.
You're gonna be getting a Substack about this soon, because there's people love to hate certain pasta shapes.
Yeah,
and I'm not quite sure what the thesis statement is here, but I have some ideas. But I do think that maybe people that hate bow tie noodles and people that love bow tie noodles are both mildly should have some sort of therapy. And I'm not exactly sure. I'm not a therapist, but there should be something going on with these people
to address the underlying issues.
As a bow tie hater, it's okay to say this. Nobody is in the middle about bow ties.
Like, just like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. People are either super for or super against.
Yeah. It's
same thing with angel hairs.
Divisive. Yeah. I like angel food cake. I don't like angel hair pasta.
What is your favorite pasta shape again? I forget.
Oh, I don't know. I feel like that changes. Like I like anything that can grab onto the sauce well, like a fusilli or a shell. Just
the thing that's
literally anything but bow tie.
The thing that's so funny is that the only time that I'll give a shit about a pasta shape is if I'm making bolognese.
Yeah,
it's the only
that makes
time.
sense.
Everything else, I don't care. I want the shape that's the most fun.
Do you like no, I'm not going to go down the noodle track. I think we did a whole episode on noodles like a year ago or something.
Did we?
I don't know. But it does lead me to the next life lesson thing or lessons learned thing that I was going to bring up, because it's kind of a segue about my niece Avery enjoys the bow tie noodles.
That's right,
but
she does.
I have been thinking about like longer life lesson learned things because she's coming of age and leaving the nest and stuff. And I thought back to like thinking about her moving out and being independent is like, whew, like that's a baby. She's not a baby. It'll be fine. But like I moved out when I was 17, and I was like thinking about the like lessons, the hard life lessons learned of being like thrust out your first year of like college or just entering the workforce and moving out of like your parents or whatever's home, the like pseudo safety net, which not everyone had obviously, but like to out. And I was trying to think of like how different that experience was for us versus how different it'll be for like kids that age now.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like better or worse.
I think it's different. I think it's a product of the time. Because I think things are always getting harder and easier. One of the things that blows my mind is like finding an apartment. You go on Zillow or whatever the fuck you go on and get it. But there just wasn't really that thing for us. And
what did we do? I was trying to remember that.
I don't know, honestly. Oh, I mean, like, one of the places I lived in college, I had a friend that just lived there and gave me the owner's number or something. But
it was always that for me. Like I lived in like a spare room at a hockey girl's house, or like some friend rented this place that had a place in it or whatever.
That's the thing and I think with our delivery conversation too, the thing that blows my mind about her is that everything is going to be streamlined because everything is monetized in this shit way that I wonder what the version of her friend that is going to pick up people on the DoorDash delivery and charge them $20 a person to bring them 2 feet. I wonder who that person scalping drunk people is.
I think it's a lost art. No one's. It's.
Amen.
It's also such a college town like built around alcohol consumption in youth specific thing that is like not. That's just not going to be happening like in random city that isn't like based around a campus necessarily.
Yeah.
Also, I'm just like, what is like I'm so envious of people who I didn't want to go to college, which sounds like a very privileged thing to say. But like, I'm not fucking utilizing my degree now, am I? Like, never was. Would have rather gone to trade school. But the idea of going and not doing the like rubric of you graduate high school and you go to college and then you get a job, like just doing like high school and then you move out and get a job seems like so bananas to me. It's like, what, you just go out there and start? Like, just the game is going. Like,
I think we were, I don't know. I think there's some privilege there. I think that also our age demographic was fed college really hard, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it does seem crazy to
were.
me. It does seem crazy to me because I think about, like, I was like, I'm going to go to college. Duh. That's just what you do.
Yeah.
There was no other option.
Also, thinking about myself back then, I'm like, I just remember I had a bank account, but I didn't know anything about it, or like that. No one explained to me that like you overdraft your account, and then it keeps like you. It's not just that one time like you overdrafted. It's like it keeps going, and shit like that.
It's funny. I was like so afraid of things that I was really conscious about those things. Like I didn't know what would happen if I overdrafted the account, but I never would have done it because I was so afraid to do it.
You were also,
I
feel like
fear.
You were raised being, I think, more financially responsible personally than I was.
Yeah. Also, our parents do very different things. Like your dad is, he like my dad owned a small business.
Yeah.
So I saw him manage things, whereas like your dad doesn't.
Yeah, and I grew up. I had jobs when I was younger, but then I wasn't. My job was playing field hockey, so like I didn't have a job for like ever.
One of the weirdest things to me, I guess these are all kind of life lessons. Anyway, one of the weirdest things to me was that since my dad owned a janitorial service, I was cleaning stuff.
Yeah.
And I was working for him. I had a responsibility. If I fucked up, there was repercussions. But it was still, my dad is the owner.
The boss. Yeah.
Then I went to college and I got a job in a kitchen. And that was wild to me because it was the first time I had to do things. Like my dad filled out my 1099 or whatever when I was...
Yeah.
I had a work permit. My dad got me a work permit. I didn't have to do any of that stuff. He was just like, go here at this time.
Got it.
But then that was really scary to me, working for someone else.
I wonder if... I feel like that my field hockey bullshit prepared me for that, because it's the same, like, I have to get myself places. I have to be somewhere every day for this thing that I have to do, like, for practices, because I do like 2 practices a day, whatever, and I have to like answer to the coach, and I'm responsible for like a bunch of shit on the team. And then you go to food service, and it's a less cool version of being on a team.
I guess the responsibility wasn't the weird part for me. The weird part for me was having to do the things like the 1099, having to do the things like these are the bank account details. Those things scared me because there's all this unknown paperworky type stuff that had been done for me because my dad did it.
Those were
the things that were scary.
yeah, this brings me around to a big lesson learned thing that I've like said out loud to my niece recently is like that it's okay not to know how to do shit, and it's okay to like bluntly ask someone, being like, I don't know what the hell I am doing here. Can you walk me through every step? Because I like had to do that with applying for a house loan for like buying a house, and like literally with the dude at the bank on the phone, I was like, I've obviously never done this before. I don't know shit about like finances, and like, can you tell me one, two, like, you know, that the main points of what I need to do, and anything in life where you don't know what is going on or like you feel completely ignorant to it. It doesn't matter.
Ask.
You should just ask someone. Yeah.
That's so. Wow. You're a very DIY kind of person.
I try to be. If it's possible to do it myself, like, and not just do it myself without any effort, I'm willing to like learn and accrue.
Yeah.
Like, I'm buying tools specifically to work on my truck and stuff. And learning how to do stuff because I want to. I don't know, there's some things I can't, but, you know.
One of the most rewarding life lessons I get from this podcast is learning about how we approach different things from our upbringing, because I'll ask, one of my biggest expenses is hiring or paying people to teach me how to do a thing I want to do. Like, I'll pay for lessons for stuff that I'm trying to figure out immediately.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I just want, give me the basics, and then I'll go from
Instead
there.
of you struggling like through it on your own, you mean?
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure that we both have pros and cons to our ways. I mean, I think one of the biggest pros and cons of our ways, you put shit out all the time. Like, all the stuff you have out, the art that you've made, is just things that you're like, out. Whereas I'm very like, I gotta do this. And it takes me a while to like share things. And those things are definitely connected.
I wish that there was I hire a mechanic to teach me how to do shit, like a personal dude to come like give me lessons, but that doesn't really exist. But I will say that having gone to the local small town auto like parts store, I've been there like 3 times now, and I talked to the same guy, and the last time I was like, I obviously don't know what the hell I'm doing, so like whatever. And he was like, hey, like, that's how everyone starts. And
I love that.
I was like, nice. Yeah.
Wow. This has been I would say a very fruitful podcast. I would say that
really positive.
Yeah. Everyone starts as a beginner, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, and in the words of the guy Gusteau in Ratatouille, anyone can cook. Yeah.
Is that what I thought there was more. That's what he says, anybody can cook?
It's just anyone can cook. But it's like a life thing, you know? It's a great movie.
We should do another tattoo for each other, and I'm going to get you that one.
Okay. Maybe I'll think of a better one this time.
No, yours is good. It's a great one.
I'm like, I would love to do
another
Corn Corner. We pick each other's tattoos.
Yeah, agreed. Well, people, go to my Substack, subscribe, read the funny stories. Go to our Patreon, subscribe, read the funny stories. Do you have something you want to tell them to do? What?
You have to say the links to stuff. People, you just say these things, and I guess
Substack.
I don't
search Wren Substack funny. It'll pop up.
Will it?
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. Well, the Patreon is patreon.com/thecorncorner. Hopefully by the time this episode goes out, I'll have merch up on camdamage.bigcartel.com.
You are good at saying the links.
Yeah, I try. You gotta rattle them off somewhere.
Mine is it's like substack.renwords.com or something of the like.
Yeah, it's Wren Words. I think you saying that people should search Wren Funny is gonna be it's not gonna work. It's like someone just goes to Google and types Wren. Like, it's not gonna.
You could type in Wren cool, Wren attractive,
cool, neat.
It'll all pop over to me. Okay, well, there's a thing that we like to say around here. I'm not sure if y'all have it in your part of the world, but we like to say it. And it is that if you find yourself anywhere and you're shucked,
Or if you're creamed.
we don't mind.
Yeah. As long as you're kind.
Corn.
It rhymed that time. Yeah.
You don't mind as long as you're
We don't
kind.
mind as long as you're kind, and then wait, and then you
Holy
wait too
shit.
long, and then you say corn, and that's it.
We don't mind as long as you're kind.
It evolves every episode.
Wow. Well, that was the episode, and there'll be another one next week. Everyone's got to listen to it. So,
Yeah. So maybe we'll talk
Sorry
about the
about you.
Olympics finally. We'll see.
I don't give a shit about the Olympics. Honestly,
Well,
truly, I don't give a shit about the Olympics.
then we're talking
Don't
about it
wanna
next
do
week because I do.
I go fuck. All right. I'm gonna end it. I'm gonna end the podcast.